Welcome to our Inaros Revisited video. Today we'll be taking a look at Inaros and his pool of abilities and what he can actually do. So, first of all, he's probably one of my favorite frames in the game. He's always been one of my favorite frames in the game because of, look, first of all, he looks sexy in this color palette, which I will show you in the future, but not right now. He's also a major tank. Like, you thought Nidus could, he couldn't die? Fucking Inaros can't die. And one thing that Nidus and Inaros have in common is they both have passives that allow them to kind of come back up right into the fight without, you know, risking a lot. Now, obviously this build for Inaros is made for purely CC and survival, but if you want to look at the abilities, here are the abilities. I have negative damage, so like while bleeding out, Inaros becomes entombed in a proactive. I don't know. He can revive himself by draining the life force from nearby enemies and allies. So you go to like you have an ally come to you and all that. Here's the thing. He's a supportive tank, but he's also a tank. Okay, he synergizes really well with finishing weapons, and he's out in the open most of the time. But he's not even a high risk, high reward kind of frame. He's a fuck everything up one by one kind of frame. So, solo survivals aren't gonna be the best for him. Right? Because if you run a solo survival with Inaros, you won't be able to get past 20 minutes because you're only killing enemies one by one with like the Rack to Dark Dagger and his Desiccation. You could use secondaries and, primaries, but overall, I mean, I don't recommend. So we'll go up with a gun setup. This isn't the gun setup I recommend, or the weapon setup, and I'm going to show you 3 different builds. 2 of them I will be making in front of you, and 1 I already have made as of right now, which we'll take a look into that one. So this is the main build I use. This is a build that I personally love to use. This is what makes him the tank of all tanks. So first of all, we have overextended and stretch for a lot of power range. This will give us enough power range to kind of snipe enemies and allow us to stun them for a good amount of time. All you need is primed continuity, and your desiccation will already reach up to 11 seconds of stun, which is more than enough time for you to pull off your finishers. Also, there is a passive within his first ability of desiccation where if you perform a finisher on an enemy, you will get, I believe, what? For some, you'll get a certain percentage of health. We'll show you that as of right now. Level 110 Heavy Gunner. Also, if you use so if you pull off your melee and do a finisher, you will receive like 25% of your health. It's insane, and that's one of the reasons why he's an undying tank. So, second we have Rage, and this ability just synergizes so well with Inaros. Convert plus 40% of damage on health to energy. So basically, you don't take you get more energy the more damage you take. And I believe that's also 40% reduced damage. Maybe. I'm not sure, so please. But this is such a good mod for Inaros. This goes so well with Inaros, and he's just so fantastic. So if you also want, you can instead put Handspring instead of Rush. But I don't. It's completely up to you. You can change it to get Power Strength in there or something like that. I don't really know. But Primed Flow, I honestly don't have another mod to put in here. I can put like Firewalker in there. I can put Transient Fortitude in there. I can do a lot of stuff with I can put Cunning Drift in there to give me that 15% extra ability range. But here's the thing. There's no point. there's no point to get any other range with this guy. You can put Armored Agility on there, which will allow you to get extra armor, be extra tanky. You can put You can put vigor in there. You could put narrow-minded, but it's gonna take away some of your range. You do not need a lot of duration whatsoever. You put vigor on so you can like get 5,000 health. That's a big possibility, but I don't recommend it at all. There's so much stuff you can put on this guy. You can put on fleeting expertise if you really feel like it, and you can put on natural talent. It's really completely up to you to put whatever you want on there. But overall, I have nothing really else to show you. So what we're gonna do is this is going to be our self-res build, and you know this is gonna be a self-res build. I didn't say it already, but like you want power strength. You mainly want power strength and efficiency and range. You don't want to use duration, but having a little bit of extra duration is always nice. So you can put on narrow-minded if you feel like it. I mean, it's kind of up to you. Honestly, if you want me to be straightforward with you, I do recommend putting more than one forma on him, which I have yet to put enough time into the game to do it, but it's 100% up to you. One other thing we're going to do is we're going to put in fleeting expertise at rank 4, and we're going to put streamline in at rank 4. This will save us 2 extra mod slots, which, you know, come in handy in the late kind of game. And, yeah. We're going to put in power drift. And you're going to see here that we're going to put in transient fortitude. We'll have 7 mod slots left, which means we'd have to put in another forma. So, obviously, this is more of a self-res kind of build. You can put in intensify instead of, this, and you kind of get that duration back, but there's no point. There really isn't no point. So I'm going to try to show you. I don't know what's going to happen. You still have 4,400 health, so you still have plenty of survivability. And your duration for your desiccation only lasts about 2 seconds, so it's for like a quick finisher. I do not recommend this build at the slightest. Please do not use it unless you know how you're building towards it. They still take forever. And you still can't, because of how much armor they have, you cannot get a single bit of... You cannot get a single bit of res. So, I do not recommend this build in the slightest. Please do not use it unless, like I said, you know how you're building towards it. Next is another raw damage build, but here's a big factor to it. It's more meant for leveling up. So this is for like quick bursts of damage. And as you can see, it's like I said, it's mainly meant for leveling. So you're going to be taking this into smaller levels of gameplay. But like I said, this is my recommended build. This is the build I like to use. He is not a solo survivalist, even though he's really good for, you know, solo runs. I mean, Inaros is good at soloing. I just don't know, man. But this is his true power right here. Is the Rack the Dark Dagger with the build I have on. You should never die. You should never die on this build. And to kind of show you what we're dealing with here, we're going to take off Rush, and we're going to put on Handspring, because it's such a big factor to use. You have to use Handspring. If you don't use Handspring, I don't know what's wrong with you. because if they do their little CC effect, you can get up quickly. Desiccate, and then start going for the finishers. One thing you want to do while enemies are stunned in desiccation is they will eventually get out of it, but you can Scarab Swarm, and this will give you life steal. Now, is it the best amount of life steal? No, it's not, but the best way to get health is doing the finishers off of desiccation. You can easily restore all of your health by killing 4 enemies, maybe 5, maybe 6. And you still have that Scarab armor. So, you're going to be super tanky with all this on. And, yeah. So next we're going to spawn in 10 Corrupted Bombards and 10 Heavy Gunners. These are the two toughest enemies in the game, and they will completely shred your health up. So watch. They're going to shoot. If they will, they're going to shoot me. I'm kind of here, man. I don't think they're gonna shoot me. I just see my health is draining quite a lot. Oh wait, I have desiccation, and you know, you do an infinite amount of damage with covert lethality on them. If you want, you can Scarab Swarm, get that health in there, and then actually get a bunch of healing off of it. You can desiccate and then Finisher. One thing you can also do is Devour. What Devour does is allows you to become completely immune to any and every enemy around you while you take and absorb health. And it does a lot of tick damage. And Sandstorm also does the same thing, but instead you suck in a bunch of enemies and you deal a bunch of damage over time. You can drop them off the map, you can do whatever you feel like it. And what Darude Sandstorm does do is when you have an enemy in Devour, you automatically suck them into your pool, or your Sandstorm, and you take health off of them while you're in Sandstorm, so you're completely immune. So that's also a great way to CC. So Inaros is the CC master, while at the same time being able to completely sustain himself for the longest amount of time in any way possible. Inaros is, like I said, he's one of my favorite frames in the game. I 100% recommend him. Anyways, we're going to show you the color palettes now, because I decided to show you the color palettes. Basically, everything's black besides the accents. The accents are yellow, and they do really affect him well. Same goes with the Syandana, except I have my primary yellow, and I'm using the Baraka Prominent Syandana. If you want, you can use any kind of Syandana you really just want to use. You can use Katir Solstice, you can use Misa Prime, which, I mean, that looks pretty cool. Loki, like, it's white. You can use the Vanquish Banner. You can use pretty much anything, man. You can use whatever Syandana you want. And the real Syandana that I want is this bad boy. And it will look so good on Inaros. You do not understand. It has that golden cape to it. Oh, like, seriously. That's the Syandana I use, and its color palette. And this is the attachments. They're the exact same thing. I don't really care for the attachments as much. I also use the Inaros Anubis helmet because the other Inaros helmets are pretty bad in the game, so. I also use the Noble animation instead of the Agile, because I think the Noble looks pretty good. Regalia I don't use any Regalia at all. The weapon setups that I completely recommend for you to use with Inaros is shotguns or bows, something to kind of help stun the enemies. If you want, you can use the Ferox. I kind of recommend the Tiger's Prime, but I don't fully recommend the Tiger's Prime, just because it only has 2 shots. I do recommend, you know, the Vacor Heck and the Heck, which I still need to form the fuck out of. Axolotl Prime. This will help you just completely destroy enemies in the beginning of the game, kind of, helping you towards that life support in the end. You're going to need these, as Axolotl Primes are just the best. They seriously, they're like the one of the best, secondaries in the game, and I cannot argue with that. So I do recommend putting a third form on the Axolotl Prime, as it's just super good, super good. But yeah. And the Rack the Dark Dagger. This is the one weapon that completely just kind of murks with Inaros. First of all, you want 3 dual stat mons in there. You want life. The only things you really need is Prime Pressure Point, Covert Lethality, Prime Fury, and Life Strike. You use Gleaming Blight for that Blight and Viral proc, and you can use Vicious Frost, Voltic Strike, and Violent Scourge to kind of get your damage up so you can, kind of carry through the game with basic attacks. Now, without Covert Lethality, daggers would not be in the meta whatsoever. So, Prime Fury, regular Fury, this will allow you to, pull off that finisher a lot faster, and Covert Lethality gives you infinite damage if you stack it with Prime Pressure Point. So, for whatever reason, it says plus 100 extra damage on melee attacks or lethal damage finishers, but really what it means is plus a million, bajillion, cajillion, trillion, you know, one-shot anything and everything in sight. So, yeah. That's Inaros, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. One more thing, if you do want to get rid of primed flow and put in like a constitution to give you that 200% knockdown recovery and a little bit of extra duration, you can. If you want, you can put in fleeting expertise. You can honestly, you can use whatever you want, but prime flow kind of just there to give me that pull of energy, because I mean, even with the Naros, you still have unlimited energy, so you shouldn't be worried about that. He's super overpowered. But overall, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please leave a like and possibly subscribe. It would make my day. Peace out.